Well, we are following breaking news as the boys of our summer are now back in Baton Rouge with LSU celebrating its huge national championship win.
That's right. The 8th in program history. Again, a tremendous victory for the Tigers in Omaha. Our own Jonah Gilmore is there as the buses pull in right now at Alex Box Stadium. Hundreds of fans there right now as the Tigers return home as national champions.
It has been a fantastic moment. They were flying out of Omaha into Baton Rouge. They were passing around that national championship trophy throughout the entire plane. Everybody just really reliving this surreal moment for so many of these players who've dreamed about this their whole lives.
Yeah, let's go now to Jonah. He's there with the fans and the players as they arrive. Jonah, take it away.
Yes, the powerhouse team, the LSU baseball team, national championships from the College World Series have just arrived. The doors opening right now as the team make their way off the bus. So many people out here, this is just a phenomenal feat right here. They're holding the national championship little banner right here. This is such an exciting moment right here. We're talking right now, we're going to dip into this.
From Charles Schwab to here to the hotel to fly back.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Everything you dream about. Just because we did it 2 years ago, certainly don't take it for granted. And just so proud of this team. I felt like we deserved to be in Omaha. And the longer the tournament went on, it was clear this is the best college baseball team in America this year, and they deserve to be champions.
What time did you go to sleep last night at?
Not bad, actually. It was about 1 o'clock. Gave it everything we had, and got a good night's sleep, and just proud and just thankful for what these guys did this year.
And we have the players that are making their way over here. So they're coming off the bus, pillows in hand right now. It's been a long trip for them coming from Omaha, now making their way back home to Baton Rouge. So many fans, we see some high fives right now. Some people are trying to get some baseballs assigned right here, but we have another player right here. We're gonna turn this way. Oops, sorry. So we'll.
Congratulations.
All right, national championship. Honestly, how you feeling right now? You're back home in Baton Rouge.
Feels amazing. I love Baton Rouge. I love the people of Louisiana. Grateful to be here.
And 8 national championships. What does it mean to you in this program to win 8 national titles?
I mean, we're a part of history now. It means the world to me.
And we have the title right here, the trophies right there, walking into Alex Box Stadium right now. This is just an amazing moment for the city of Baton Rouge and LSU, 8 national championships. So, so many people out here excited. We can see the team making their way into the stadium. And if you look in the distance, you can actually see the monitor that has the NCAA Baseball National Champions 2025 graphic on that monitor right there. So this is just an exciting moment. The team back here in Baton Rouge. We got some balls being signed right now over here. We take a look this way, some baseballs being signed. This is what people have been waiting for, just to have this moment of history and excitement. But I can tell you, a phenomenal atmosphere out here in Baton Rouge outside Alex Box Stadium. And a lot of people were out here for hours just waiting in the sun just to have this moment. But this is what it's all about. You see the little ones who have been waiting to meet these players and coaches who they call their heroes. And just take a look at Coach signing right now. Getting those signatures in. So many people just grateful for this moment. We now have the staff coming in. But again, an amazing milestone for the LSU Tigers. 8 national titles for the LSU baseball program here. And the Tigers are back home. Staff now getting off the buses, going in after the players went in. So this is going to be an exciting week, as we have that celebration that's going to be taking place later this week. But hey, the Tigers are back home here in Baton Rouge at Alex Box Stadium after winning their 8th national title in Omaha. The road to Omaha was a long one, but the Tigers did it, capturing that title, but also capturing the hearts of everybody who was watching them. I lived in Omaha, and I know how exciting the LSU Tigers trip to Omaha is for the city of Omaha, and I'm sure they were appreciative to have the LSU Tigers there, but they did it. And we're going to toss things back to you all in the studio here in Baton Rouge. Jonah Gilmore, WDSU News.
All right, Jonah. And again, so many fans who were out there packing Alex Box Stadium, just as many LSU fans almost in Omaha. We had so many people. If you watched the game, the past 2 games, it was a sea of purple and gold really throughout that entire stadium at Charles Schwab Field.
It really is a phenomenon how LSU has taken over Omaha. The people in Omaha love LSU, obviously. The people at Rocco certainly love them, but it's become almost an annual rite of passage. Even when LSU doesn't go, there are still Tigers fans that go to Omaha and turn it into a vacation. And you're right, yesterday when they won that championship, it felt like a home game, and they're 2,000 miles away or 1,000 miles away from their home in Baton Rouge. Also, I should point out that later tonight at 6:30, we're going to have a special celebrating this team at 6:30, the historic run of the LSU Tigers. Wednesday night is the LSU celebration. There'll be 14,000 people, standing room only, in Alex Box Stadium, and we will carry that live as well.
And we did this 2 years ago. You know, you guys were covering that same kind of celebration.
Yeah.
And I think let's take a listen now. Jonah's got some more interviews coming. Let's take a listen.
Daniel Dickinson was spectacular at second. And the big man, Jared Jones, he really developed into an outstanding defensive first baseman. So, man, yeah, and you can't underestimate what Luis Hernandez meant behind the plate to our pitching staff. You talk about how great our pitchers were. Hernandez was just brilliant in the way he handled those guys. Absolutely.
How much fun is this for you? I mean, you've been through a few of these.
Yes.
Does it ever get old?
It does not at all, man. I tell you what, I got a little choked up at the end of being on the field yesterday at the end of the game. It hit me, and especially when Coach Bertman came out on the field and Coach congratulated all the players and hugged Jay, and they have such a great relationship. And Jay really has embraced the legacy here and carries on what Skip created, and it's stronger than it ever has been.
Bill, thank you.
All right, man. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it.
Bill, you've been here for the Skip days, the pulmonary days,
Yeah.
and the Jay Johnson. Is there something that makes Jay a little different from what Skip did and what Paul did, how he forms a roster or how he carries himself around the team?
Well, you know, Garland, of course, it's a much different environment than it was back in Skip's day and even Paul's day, with all the new challenges regarding recruiting and NIL and the transfer portal. So Jay, while he doesn't really care for some of those things, he knows that they're necessary. He's adapted to them, and he has really flourished in this environment. I think that's the biggest difference, is he's had to adapt to a lot of changes that perhaps Skip and Paul didn't have to. I would say personality-wise, he's probably a combination of the two. A great motivator like Skip was, a great tactician like Skip, like Paul, a disciplinarian, a guy who's very structured and organized. So I think he takes some of the best characteristics of both of those coaches and combines them into his character.
First time you were in Omaha working with LSU, can you recall the year that you were in Omaha for the first time?
First time I was there was 1989. And it's easy to remember because it was Ben McDonald's final year at LSU. He was the #1 draft pick in the MLB that year, and the draft was during the College World Series. So I remember we had a little press gathering at the team hotel back then for Ben's announcement as the #1 draft pick. And that team went 2-2 in Omaha, didn't get there. We went back in 1990, also went 2-2, didn't get there. And 91, of course, is the first one. And it's been an incredible ride since then.
Last question, 1989 to 2025, how much has Omaha changed from 89 to 2025?
It's surely changed a lot, I tell you what. But the community has embraced, from the very beginning, the community there embraced LSU baseball. And they welcome us. They treat us almost like royalty, and I don't blame them because the economic boost to that city is significant whenever LSU hits town. So yeah, it's been fantastic. It's more of a modern city. All the teams stay downtown. Of course, a new ballpark. So it's a first-class environment.
Bill Franquez, thank you so
thanks,
much
Carl.
for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All righty, thank y'all. So, hey, Bill, how you doing? Jonah Gilmore.
Jonah, how you doing?
Yes, I know you talked to Fletcher already.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Gotcha. So we're gonna you can do it now.
All right, that is Jonah Gilmore getting a second interview with Bill Franquez. Bill Franquez is one of the people, we always talk about the people behind the program. He is one of those people that a lot of people may not know here, but he's one of those backbone guys. He's the voice of Alex Box Stadium. He's the longtime baseball sports information director. He knows more history about LSU baseball and has been along for the ride, like he said, since 1989. So a really special person who is ingrained in the fabric of LSU baseball.
And a special person they did mention, Skip Bertman, who was actually at that final game for the Tigers there in Omaha. Really cool to see him out there with the rest of the team because he's such an iconic figure when you talk about LSU baseball and when you talk about Alex Box Stadium.
Yeah, without question. To have Skip Bertman there, I mean, he built this program into, it's arguably the greatest program in the history of college baseball. Since 1986, no program has been to the World Series more, 20 times LSU. Since 1986, no program has won more national championships, LSU 8. There is an argument to be made that they are the greatest college baseball program in the history of the sport, certainly in the modern history of the sport. You'd have to go back to the 40s, 50s, and 60s, which is a much different era. So what Skip Bertman built and the fact that he was able to be there, the passing of his wife this year, he is not in great health. So the fact that he has been along for this ride is very meaningful, knowing that he truly created the foundation of this program.
And, you know, so many fans are still in Omaha, by the way, because they were just making sure that they weren't going to be missing Game 3 if there was a Game 3 today. So a lot of them not flying back until tomorrow. But there's so many fans here across Southeast Louisiana who are excited to maybe get a piece of this action, either the merchandise or being there in person, getting to watch some of those fans.
Yeah, and we have Shawanda Jones right now on the North Shore with reaction, fans buying all the merchandise, everything that's happening throughout our community right now.
Yeah, guys, we're not going to get to that merchandise just yet. I actually caught up with Cade Anderson's former chemistry teacher. He's now the principal here at St. Paul's Catholic School in Covington. And he says from the moment he saw Cade play, he knew that he just had that it factor about him. And he says that his legacy reaches far beyond what he did on the mound, but how he acted in the classroom. He says his discipline, his work ethic, and just who he was, his values that he exerted as a person and a player, it really, really spoke to his upbringing. Let's hear from him.
He's the perfect example of what we talk about of the graduates we want for St. Paul students to be. He exemplifies all of those different values that we instill and that we want our students to shine.
And Principal Pierre says that he has no doubt that Cade's story will inspire the next round of student athletes that will be graduating here from St. Paul's. Reporting live in Covington, I'm Shawanda Jones.
And Shauna, we were just commenting because you could watch Cade Anderson's parents there in the stadium, you know, watching their son play. His mother so excited, all of the emotions right there on her sleeve. His father very stoic, which, I mean, I think it'd be a combination of the both of them watching my son play on the world stage like that.
Kendall Duncan interviewed Cade after the game yesterday, and he even acknowledged that, saying his mother is a roller coaster of emotions, that she's praying in the stands. She's the loudest person cheering when he strikes somebody out. And he said it is something that affects him because he knows that he gets the highest of highs when he does well and he sees her walking off the field. And he knows when things aren't going well, he doesn't want to look up into the stands because he knows she's probably frantic in praying that he gets out of a tough situation. So yeah, she is definitely somebody who is passionate about, understandably, about her son, his success in LSU baseball.
Well, I think she impacted all of us as moms who have maybe little ones who are playing baseball because, I mean, she'd cry and I'm like, oh, she's crying. Or, oh my gosh, she's so excited. So, I mean, like, she took us along for that journey. But you guys are going to be taking us along for another journey later on tonight at 6:30.
Yeah, 6:30 tonight. We have a special show coming up. And then also, do not forget, Wednesday, here's our first special. Yes, tonight at 6:30, LSU's historic run. Kendall Duncan wraps up everything. She spent 12 days. She probably could have started paying bills in Omaha. She was there for so long.
She probably was.
Yes. And so, and then on Wednesday night, we are carrying the full celebration here on WDSU, as well as our digital and streaming platforms. We'll be live at 6:30 to get you ready. And then the celebration starts at 7 o'clock Wednesday night as they celebrate the national championship team.
And of course, I'll have much more on this coming up on WDSU News at 4 o'clock, as well as our later newscast. But we'll now bring you back to regular programming. Go Tigers.